Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, it's Sally, and find your joy. Please remember to like and subscribe. Okay, we are back to round two, duh, in both official languages, with the fabulous, wonderful, all-around interesting fellow himself, Mr. Roland Barrett. Rollie, how are you doing?
I'm great, but I thought we were actually live the last 15 minutes.
Oh, damn, I wish we were because it was awesome, and now we have to talk about it all over again.
Yeah. What
I
were we
know
just
because
what were we just talking about? Oh,
I
we were
know.
talking about when you think you did a good job and playing music, and then the times when you think you didn't do so well and you go back and you go, actually that was really authentic and it was well done. And then the days that you're like, I just killed it, and you go back and you look at it and you're like, what a wanker. You
Well,
know?
it's true because it's well, here's something that happens to me, and I know this happens to everybody, right? So I think anyways, you'll have a night where you think is like the worst night of your life. You'll be just like, why do I even do this? I suck so much. This is just awful. And that is going to be, I guarantee you, that'll be the night the most people come up and say, oh my gosh, it was so awesome. You touched me so deeply. And I'm like, how do I trust you people if you can't?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? I know
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And then at the same time, times that I thought what we were talking about was that I used to record myself, and you'd done the same thing. I would record myself, just have a live recording happening while I
Yeah.
was, practicing, gigging, whatever I was doing, so that I could hear later. Because sometimes I would think, like I've just invented a new wonderful thing. I get quite excited with myself. Whoa, did
Yeah.
you hear that note? Look at, I'm doing really well. And then, and
I
then
just invented a new chord.
yeah, that's right. Like, I'm so awesome. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
It's the life of an artist, right? I'm the worst and the best at everything I do. And so I'd be like, and then and then I'd listen to it back and I'd be like, wah, wah, that was not
Yeah.
very good at all.
Yeah. You know, the worst is when you do like if you got a new song or something. I had a new song. I named it Karma when it first came out. I did release it on an album when it first came out. It was not good, and I was like, "This song's amazing. It's like a hit song." And I recorded it and I sent it to a bunch of people, and then nobody really responded. And I listened back and I was like, "Oh my god, why did I send this song to all these people? Oh my god." Oh man, I feel so yucky right now.
Oh,
That's life, man. That's the tough stuff right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But part of being creative is being brave, right? Like being brave enough and okay enough that it might suck. And sometimes the same song that turns out okay, it started at, I thought it was brilliant, then realized it was horrible, then rewrote it into mediocre, and then
Yeah.
and then played around with it. And it was, because I mean, I still have an imagination that tells me like I'm practically going to cure cancer with my songs. Like every once in a while, I'm like, oh, that is such a good line. I just love that line so much. And I'm so happy with it. And then
You wanker.
I know.
Yeah. Humility is a powerful tool, Ali.
It is. But then not but and the other part of it is that's part of being creative, right? Part of being creative is like, well, I'll say when after my accident, I couldn't do anything really. I started painting. I was sharing these things on Facebook and I was like, oh my gosh, and for the first couple of years, I was painting, painting, painting. And then I, so
I
what
remember that.
happens with brain injuries is you have these sort of they're called awakening things that happen. And I've had two so far. I pray for another one. I really do. But I go from totally in a chamber of horror to one day, and it's like that. All of a sudden, I became more aware. I was told it could happen, and it did happen. But I was still a little bit, I still wasn't quite right, but I was so much better than I was. And it literally happens like that in an
Does
instant.
it stay?
Pardon me?
Does it stay with you?
Yeah. it's
Oh,
been brilliant. And so I've had two in my recovery so far. There have been two times. And when it happens, the clarity kind of all of a sudden comes. It's kind of like, almost like turning the light on and off. It's like a shocking, holy crap event. And some people
yeah.
never get them, and I've had two. And so on my second one, this is where on my second one, I looked at my paintings and I was like, oh my God. And I became, what the hell have I done? And then I've been sharing this shit. Oh no.
Yep. Have you ever seen the show House?
With a doctor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes.
There's an episode where this guy, he's painting and he's doing portraits of people, and this couple comes over and he looks really serious. He's painting it, and then the lady's been posing there for days, and he finally, I think it's ready, and he shows it to him, and this is like this ugly cartoonish caricature, and the husband, who just paid him $1,500 whatever, punches him out, and he doesn't know what's going on because his brain is seeing something else.
Yes.
Yeah, his brain is seeing like a Picasso, right? A beautiful thing. When it's a 3-year-old drawing of somebody's
right.
mom.
And it's so funny, right? Like you see things that sell for like $1 million, and I'm like, what the hell is that? But it's
I'll make you that for $15 and a block of cheese.
And the cheese will already be moldy and you have to cut part of it off. That's how I grew up anyways. In the 60s, we did a lot of cutting mold off cheese. And
same with bread.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. God. You remember giant bags of dried puff wheat with milk that was mixed with dehydrated milk to save money? I don't know if you were that poor, but we were. It was the shits, man. Like, I can't tell you how many times I went to, God, it was so bad. Yeah.
Well,
and some of that puff wheat was so dry that it wouldn't actually expand until about an hour later when you and then shit really hit the fan.
Well, we it's sort of funny. It's going to sound like what is it called? Like I'm making I didn't really know that we were really poor. Like my mom was a single mom, raised 5 kids, and by herself. My dad left when I was about 6. And wait a second, there's a song in here. But we and it was like in the 60s, and it was like this kind of this weird thing that
There's a song there for sure.
It is a song. If I was almost going to try to sing it out, but I thought I've been talking so long, I don't think I could sing at all. No, see, it won't work.
Oh, tasty stuff. You have such a great texture to your voice.
Oh, well, look at me. That's very kind of you. I might send you privately the stuff that I've been recording with, some of the most incredible musicians ever. Some of my songs that I've been working with. I think I told you I've been, every 6 months I've been recording 2 songs with Steve Dawson. And a band of amazing, Steve Dawson, 4-time Juno award-winning, like just amazing.
Oh, is that Bryan Adams' studio?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he does these things where he started doing this thing he does it twice a year. I don't know how long it's going to happen for, but I've got into it so far. I've lucked out. And it's super affordable. It's $750 a song. And
what?
it's crazy. And you go in and the musicians are all there. You send the stuff. But it's just right off the floor recording, right? It's like boom.
That's the way to do it, man.
It's the best. And
with second album, we did that. We did sorry about that. Go ahead.
No. In an hour, you have the song. So I've been doing 2 songs at a time. And at the first time I did it, I'm going to tell you, the first time I was so sad because I had been working on my voice and stuff, and my voice is very hit and miss right now, right? Like I could. One day I can sing And then because of this thing that's going on, if when it closes, and I'm working on
Is
how
that psychological?
part of it is I'm thinking, but the other
Yeah.
part of it I've had they put the tubes down my throat and told me and
Yeah, I've had that too.
and
Mine was an esophageal sphincter that was closing, and a lot of it was from over listening when I was trying to work on an album, and I was getting ear fatigue, which was
really
it's a real mental game. Yeah.
well. So this is what they so the two things that are happening is there's something in my neck. Well, no. First of all, there's that I haven't used it for so long, so it's a muscle. Next is that I get in my head about it. And then I have this thing called vocal cord dysphonia, which is not a problem with the vocal cord, it's the muscles around it.
Right.
And then there's something wrong with my neck. And if I even put a heating pad on my neck and relax it for a while, I can sing better. It's interesting.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's all
Well,
of
it's
this.
comforting, right?
Yeah, and it relaxes instead of me being tight. But
Yeah.
going in with these guys, the first time I was pretty nervous. And of course I went to what I did it's two songs that I'd written, and they were so brilliant on it, like what they, and I told them I wanted it to be country, like really old time. I both of them were written originally as blues songs, but I've decided I'm going to do country stuff. So I said, look at this. Anyways, just going in there was so fun. And it's just beyond what it's such a gorgeous studio. Like, holy,
I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
it's so
I've
beautiful.
seen fellow musicians that have gone in there, and they just, yeah, it's just a. And my buddy, I don't know if you know, a good friend of mine. He's my favorite local musician, Scotty Hills. Scotty Hills has him and his partner. They live right around the corner from there, so we walk and go for coffee. We look at it all the time from outside, being like, oh, it's nice to be in there right now.
Yeah,
The stories they can tell, eh?
yes, it's the walls. It's just
Yeah.
hey, you've got your guitar there.
Yeah, I wanted to show you what happened to it. It's this is a Morgan that I got. Remember Guitar
Oh,
Fort back on the day?
say again.
Guitars on Fort, the shop on Fort Street back in the
Oh
day.
yes, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Pete owned that for a little while too. But I brought, this is a Morgan. I had a Taylor 814 CE. This is a little bit of guitar porn. It was an 814 CE, and I wasn't a big fan of the Taylor sound. It was my favorite guitar to play because it was really fast neck. And I'm not even a lead player. It was just a fun guitar to play. But I saw this and I tried it, and I absolutely loved it. This is a Morgan, and it's got Madagascar rosewood on the back, which is beautiful.
Oh, it's
Hard to get
gorgeous.
these days. But it cracked when I brought it here because I'd never been to Mexico. I didn't know about the humidity or anything. But there's
Oh,
nothing wrong with it. But
it wasn't damaged in the flight. It was damaged because of the humidity.
you got it, yeah. And it's not even damaged,
Really?
it's just cracked a little bit. But I won't bring it back to Canada because I'm renting a place here, and I'm paying like a half rent while I'm gone just to keep the place.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. So as
Oh,
you
I
can
want
see, I
to
just
I want to get information about that.
yeah, it's a beautiful guitar. But I just tuned it and it's out of tune already. Mind if I play a song for you?
I was just going to ask you if you got a guitar there. My gosh, play us a song.
Do I have a guitar here? You know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to bring out my guitar tuner. I don't really feel like mucking around.
Yeah, no, that's
Guitar.
awesome.
You'll need to unlock your.
I don't need to unlock my phone. I do whatever I want.
That's right.
No, actually, I'm
You're
just
not
gonna
the
tune
boss
it.
of me,
Yeah, I'll just tune it by ear.
Siri. Yep, frick. So everyone who's listening, you can just this is the joys of making sure it all works in a hot climate when everything when you tune it and then halfway through the first strum.
Yeah, it's the humidity is really, it's about 95% humidity right now.
So I'm curious, guitars there, guitars made there, is there a way that they acclimatize them or do something differently?
The guitars here by locals are not like they're different woods,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that it would be.
and they're nylon string.
Oh yeah, of course they are.
I've got the worst ear of any musician, I think. There we go. I'm gonna play a song off my my second album. This is, I've never played electric guitars, and I tried one on a couple of occasions because those Strats are so beautiful. And those American-made Strat. Well, I don't even talk about American-made, but anyways, yeah, another story. And they were a lot less expensive, 10, 15 years ago. And I bought it on 2 different occasions. I bought them and brought them home, and I just couldn't get into it, man. I just, it's a whole different animal.
The hard body and all that.
Yeah, I didn't start young. Well, the whole, the amplifier tones and all that.
Yes,
so
yeah.
But every time I would buy one, I would feel guilty about bringing it back because I'm a guilty feeling person. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just buy another acoustic. Well, acoustics are 2 to 3 times more expensive.
Yes.
So I really screwed myself. But I ended up with some nice guitars. But yeah, this is a song that I wrote. I had a Strat. I had a black Strat, and I had a seafoam green Blues. I think it was a Fender Blues Junior or something like that. And the black Strat was an American-made standard Strat, beautiful. And I had it for 9 hours, and I brought it back that night. But I wrote this song on it.
Oh.
Not the lyrics. I wrote the song, and I wrote the music, and I wrote a couple of lyrics, and it would just came to me like one of those, 15-minute songs, right?
Yes, they're the best.
Yeah, so I'll play that. It's called No Enemies, No Friends. It's on my second album, 2017, Dark Hearts and Other Stories.
Okay.
I'm running for my life. Will you ever catch me? I stay away from complications. I'll take the loneliness instead. Yeah, we share the same sadness, but the difference between you and me, you're so stationary. Well, I got to be free. So wait on those diamonds with working class smile. As I feel the drama continue to pile. Every town has its own sound, but they all sound the same to you. So take back your social club days. Well, everything's fair south of this dirty old town. 'Cause the highway don't care, give or take, or even consider your friend. The sounds of the darkness I can hear from my motel room. And the cool night air thrills my mind with deja vu. My body's told to continue, but my mind's too young to stop. So in the morning I'll take what's mine and I'll move on out again. Ain't got no worries to hang on to, 'cause I made no enemies and I made no friends. Ain't got no worries to hang on to. Cause I made no enemies and I made no friends. Something like that.
Oh, thank you. It's beautiful. I love your
Yeah.
playing on that too.
Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Oh, I thank you for doing that. I'm grateful. It's a beautiful musical interlude. I'll tell you something
Right.
else. I love that bird was joining in.
Oh yeah, there's a few interesting birds in this tree.
Yeah, but they were here's a segue. But lately I've been seeing that birds will join in with us a lot. You know, I've been noticing it a lot. They love to, if we're singing or we're doing whatever, geez, screwing with the camera, but they'll join in. And I do vibrational sound therapy, right? So
Okay, yeah.
so I was in my studio and I was doing a group sound bath, and it was summer and I had the window open, and I was playing, and whatever, do do do, I played these notes, and then a bird, and I was like, and I thought, am I just imagining that? So I played it again, and the bird played it again. Then I played three different notes to see if it was just by chance, and that bird was singing with us. It was so amazing, and so when you were playing, I was sitting there, I was loving what you were doing, and when I heard the bird, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it that the whole world, the nature just wants to harmonize.
Oh man,
It's
isn't
all
that
about the
amazing?
harmonies, right? So
Yeah.
I hope that the sound is the quality is good enough when we play this back. I hope that you can hear that bird that was following along with you, because it wasn't just randomly. It was.
That would be cool. Yeah, I was focused because
Yeah, of course.
my fingers were cold, right? So I was like focusing and getting
Yeah,
into
no,
it.
it was awesome. You sounded great, I just thought it was awesome that bird joined in, and it was it was very.
You're gonna hear some noise coming up here soon. Like in Mexico here, when people come by to sell stuff, they do everything on a megaphone. And
Oh.
one guy he comes by and he goes, he's got a recording that goes, like Tarzan. There we go. Umbrellas. And my landlord's dog is crazy. I just came out here to show you the mangoes.
Oh, okay.
This is the tree that's on my property there. Can you see them?
Yeah, I can. Your thumb's in the way a bit, but I can still see them. There we go.
No way.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and these are like a foot off the ground. So they'll be ready right about the time I'm leaving, unfortunately.
Right.
I think my landlord, he said, I moved in here and he said, oh, those mangoes are going to be ready in 2 weeks. I think that was a selling point. It's been like 2.5 months now, and I'm still waiting for the mangoes to. You know what? I wouldn't have one bad word to say about a Mexican person.
No.
Some of the most beautiful and nicest people in the world. Unbelievably, they'll do anything for you.
I know. I've never in my life, I can't imagine that. I can't remember ever meeting anybody either in Canada that came from Mexico. I have a friend, Pepe. He's from sounds like
Is his last name Longstocking? Bad joke. Oh my God. Just slap.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
That's awesome. Pippi Longstocking was my absolute favorite book when I was a kid. I loved her. Anyways, but he's
I'm gonna get back on track. Pepe.
No, that's good, Pepe. No, he's a local in Victoria musician, and from Mexico, and he's I forget is it like cheese? My brother also lives in Mexico, Jamie. He Bocephus King. He lives in
Jamie, the
musician. Yeah, he lives in
what But that what's his stage name?
Bocephus King. He's
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think he's using that now. I think he goes by Jimmy, but
he's got such cool music.
he does. He's got some really, but he lives in down. It's got an X in it, like either XI or
Oaxaca.
what is it?
Oaxaca?
Maybe that sounds
Oaxaca?
like probably down much more south,
Yeah.
closer to Guatemala. Yeah, that's
Yeah, Oaxaca. It sounds like you're saying it's spelled like Oaxaca,
okay.
but
Yeah,
it's Oaxaca.
probably.
The X's are like H's.
He lives down that way. He lives up in the mountains and then comes down to gig there because that's where the people are. But yeah, it's I have a few
That guy
friends
is a
who,
super interesting guy.
yeah, I have a few friends that go down, like he's lived there now for 3.5 years. But I know lots of people who go down, like musicians that go down and end up, that's, you spend your winters down there, which is great. And then you can gig and
Yeah,
you can pay your way there.
I had to come inside. It was so hot, man. Like
I bet. Hey, is it, are you air conditioned where you are, or does it need to be?
no, my bedroom is air conditioned, but I'm in the living room right now, and there's a fan, but it's not quite that late where it's gonna, you know.
Right.
I sleep in the afternoon. I get up at 5 in the morning, sometimes 4:30. I'll have my cup of tea, and then I'll grab my stuff. I'll go out paddleboarding. If there's waves, I'll catch some waves. I used to surf, but I tried surfing about a week or two ago. I took the bus out to a spot, rented the biggest board they had, and went down the trail about 10 minutes to the beach and went out into the water, and that board just sank. It doesn't hold my 265 pounds.
Okay.
I'm in pretty good shape at that weight, but it's still too heavy, right? And I went
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
got another one, and that board was just too heavy to maneuver. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm just going to go back and stick to my paddle boarding, which I love, and I'm very good at it.
Yeah, and
I
it's a
decided to
nice.
try catching some waves on a paddleboard because we have this point in Bucerias that occasionally the waves are good enough that you can catch them with a paddleboard if you can paddle really hard. I was catching them on my knees, but last week I kind of had a bit of a breakthrough, and I was able to stand up, paddle into the wave, and catch it, and depart the wave, and still stay on the board. So that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. So I'll either do that, or I'll get up and I'll paddleboard out and visit the whales or the dolphins, or sometimes usually I'll go out and I'll do about 45 minutes of yoga, come back, have breakfast, and then I go to sleep for the afternoon for 3 hours.
That makes sense. That's why people do the whole siesta thing, I guess, right?
Yeah, I can't.
You work around the heat.
I don't want to be miserable. I want to be nice and relaxed. So
Yeah, yeah.
I do gigs. I do 5-6 times a week. I do gigs, and my gigs are, you know what I'm like. I'll do 4 hours, right? And I
Yeah.
take maybe 10-minute breaks. And I got a guy that I'm hiring. He's a local Mexican guy, and he has my cajon, which I normally use a pedal for, but he's much better than I am. So it's nice to have him, and I pay him a fair wage, and he gets to make money, and we play all night. And like a lot of people that play with me, he's like, dude, when are you going to take a break? Like, I like to hustle, man. I like to know that there's dollars out there that could be in our tip jar.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's almost like a game, right? It's like, yeah. And I do lots of things too. I learned a lot of marketing stuff. And one thing I learned is that I liked marketing a lot when I went to Berkeley and did the music business. And I came up with this idea, and I don't know if it'll work, but a friend of mine has an old Roomba that she's not using. I want to, on the stage where I played on Rico Winery on the deck, during my break, I want to put a tip jar on that Roomba and just let it roam around.
Oh, that's interesting. Here's
Kind of silly, but it might work.
well, here's what I'm wondering. It's not what I'm wondering, if it would be if it could be like people could trip over, like, do you know what I mean? Like if it's wandering around there.
Oh, yeah. That's true too. Yeah. I won't actually do it. I just thought it was a fun idea.
I think it's a great idea. Well,
Yeah.
all I'm wondering about is for one thing is because as we know, I fall now, but also because I worked for years as a disability case manager, and so my life is very. I've spent 40 years of my life working around
Accident
people with
centric.
Yes, I'm always looking for where there's a problem. Now I now I live within it, but it's so that's the first thing I'm going. My first thought is, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, wait a second, somebody could fall on that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I actually never thought of that. And you're right. So probably a dumb idea.
I don't think it's a dumb idea. I just think they might not be able to allow it. It would be a workman's comp nightmare. And but if everybody kind of knew it was happening and it just kind of did it, and you did it
Yeah.
within certain boundaries, it would probably work okay. So
Yeah.
so that's a whole other thing. So when you're playing in a place like, okay, so let's say Enrico is the bulk of is what your income is tips at a place like that?
No, I get paid pretty well at Enrico. I've been there a long time, but I also make tips there. But I'll do things like I have Vistaprint is a musician's best friend.
Okay.
I have vinyl signs that I make that say, and I learned a lot of this stuff playing on the Santa Monica Pier and places like that. And I haven't busked anywhere near the amount of time that a lot of these old school musicians have. Even some of the younger musicians have busked longer than I have. But with a combination of going to Berkeley and getting a little bit of music business background and reading branding books and stuff like that, I've learned a few things. I read a book by Amanda Palmer on how to ask for money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff I do is Vistaprint is amazing. You go there, I get these vinyl signs made that say "Enjoy the music." Thanks for your donations, and then I also have a Q code and a website on there, which goes to a donation jar on my website. And I make sure that those tip jars are right up front where people exiting have to go buy them. And the biggest thing I've ever learned about asking for money is people aren't cheap. They just don't know how much to give. So don't put $5 bills in your tip jar. Put 10s, 20s, 50s. And don't take the money out during the break, because people see all that money in there. They don't think, oh, that guy's already made up. They think, oh, this guy's, he's worth the money. Let's go and throw some more money in there, right? Let's be part of it.
That's a good idea. That's a really good point for people. And I think, there's if anybody, artists and healers are the two people, the two kind of whatever industries or whatever that I would say that are people that don't really quite know just how the heck to market themselves and what's okay. And asking for money is hard. And
Yeah.
with the tip jar, you're not really asking for money. What we're doing in a situation like that is making available a way for someone to be able to do that. That's what it's really about. And most people don't understand what all of it is about anyways. They don't really understand that people pour an enormous amount of money into lessons and instruments and all of that kind of stuff. I think quite often they don't get it. So if there's a tip jar and you can see that it's there, it's not really asking for money. It's just making it available for them. That's how I see it anyway.
We're looking for donations, and we're also, we're looking for cab fare, not bus fare. You got to let people know.
Yes.
Especially in Mexico. I don't, somebody gave me, I make sure people know that, and I actually tape and this sounds a little, it could be either considered awkward or even arrogant, but I mean, you're in business. You gotta let people know what you want and what you're worth. So I'll tape a 20 to the outside of the jar so it's stay and it's visible. So people can cut in. And sometimes if there's too many fives in there, I'll take them out and stuff in my pocket, just so that they're not visible and people kind of get the idea that, because if your tip jar is full of fives, people are going to say, oh, he's taking fives,
That's that's a really good point. And I think that a lot of times people don't even think about that. And even if a person's, if you're even, donating or whatever, tipping a person, maybe to remember it's better to throw in 120 than four fives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like just the
Yeah.
mentality of how it all works, how people think and how that
Yeah.
and so the business side of it is it's
Yeah.
I find it the most difficult thing. Like it doesn't matter what I do. If I'm doing sound baths, if I'm doing writing books or writing books. Yeah, that's the thing. Writing books and selling them, two very different things, right? Or if it's music,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is. It gets very difficult to like so a bunch of my paintings that I had. David was like, why don't you put them up on the wall at your studio? And I'm like, and he's like, no, like then you have paintings up there, and then if somebody wants to buy them, you have a price on them. If they like it, I'm like, okay. Or even my books. I wasn't even putting my own books in there, and I've probably sold, I don't know, at least 20 books out of my studio. Just people come for a sound bath. And my first book I wrote on my own, The Art of Healing Trauma, I've at least 20 books have sold out of there that
Yeah.
I would not have. I wasn't even going to put them in there. Like I was
Yeah,
like,
you
well,
got
they're coming for a sound
your
bath.
your merchandise ain't going anywhere if it's not physical.
Yes, yeah, and
You know?
it's a thing to remember, right? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, even I'm starting to do some kids songs that I'll just put a QR. I mean, this is just all, constantly thinking of what to do, right? But I write kids songs sometimes. Just I don't know.
Yeah.
Jingles are easy for me. I should have been a jingle writer. Apparently, they even make money. But those kinds of fun whoop-de-doo-doo songs just are very easy for me. They come naturally. I'm not that deep. Like it comes it comes quite natural. So one of the things I'm going into the studio next week, and one of them is a kid song that I wrote during COVID. Now I don't mention COVID in the song at all. It's called Stomping That Bug Out, and it's just about wash your hands, cover your mouth. It's just whatever. It's a fun song, but
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I wrote it for my great or grand nieces and nephews, because of course, like all our, my grandkids are all, Hannah's 21, Cassius is almost 17. So they didn't
That's
need me.
crazy, eh?
I know it just happened
Yeah.
so fast, right? But I just, it was at a time when, and we're talking about this, right? You'd gone through some traumatic stuff and you picked up the guitar and it kind of takes you out of it. And it's the same reason I wrote that song, was because I was watching these big conversations around little people, and I was thinking how scary this, everybody's freaking out here, but imagine little children, what this is like for them. So I just wrote a song
Yeah.
that was kind of fun about it, right? But I never mentioned COVID. So now it is in so my first book that's just coming out now. I've got 4 so far written for the collection. It'll be on the 4th one. Like I want it a couple of years out. I want it, give it time. Like people need time to heal from COVID. They need time to
Absolutely, yeah.
get past it, right? Because it was
There's a lot of
so
ugly feelings around that whole thing.
yeah, and so I'm kind of, but there's still people, kids, the whole thing is the Don't Be Scared, Be Prepared series. So it's about, you don't, whatever it is, you don't need to be afraid. You just get prepared for it, right? So the first one
Yeah.
on grounding and breathing. This thing is, washing your hands, covering your mouth. Like this is just stuff that we need to deal with every day. So anyways, well, I don't know why I'm talking about that, but I
No,
just,
I get it. Like I have a panic disorder, right? So I mean, I've had
yeah, me too.
like horrifying panic disorders that are just I've called the ambulance for myself. It's like
Right.
I can't breathe, everything's dizzy, falling down. I've
Yeah.
actually got them during performances when I first started doing house concerts.
Yeah.
And they were they were outrageous, like literally disassociating for the first 3 songs, not even know where I was. And
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh my God, you sounded great." And I was like, "When?" I don't remember even being there,
Even, yeah. And so, that's,
So breathing, like back to that, the breathing exercises you're talking about,
yeah.
that's the biggest one, right? You gotta trust in your breath,
Yeah.
you know?
Let it take you and let it, I started with anxiety. Um, the first time it completely overtook me, I was 11 and I was off school for uh, about 2 months. Like I couldn't
Oh
feel
my
it.
God.
Yeah.
That
I,
young, eh?
yeah, I was really young.
You
And
ever
the
figure
next,
why you were predisposed to it, or was it trauma, or was it just
well, that's a really good question. And I mean, so I've had a significant amount of trauma in my life. Um, but I also maybe I'm predisposed to it as well. Like I'm not really, I kind of go by, even though I don't know what color my hair is anymore, but I'm a redhead by whatever.
yes,
Like
you are?
and it's redheads. I mean I've studied every friggin' thing I could about this, right? So redheads are we're there's so many things about people who are redhead that
Yes.
are like we have more allergies. It's harder for us to deal with pain medications and things like that. We tend to, there's a whole bunch of things. So I'm like, I don't know, is it intertrauma, generational trauma? I had a lot of trauma, and so it could have been that, but I could just be a person who is wired a little bit differently. Like I don't know, because I don't know, I'm just the way I am. And so when I was, they put me on medication when I was a kid. And
Probably not good medication too.
no, I didn't even know what it was. And then again, when I was like 14, I had the same complete, and everybody, the rumor was that I was off having a baby. That wasn't true. I just had,
Oh my
I had a
God.
nervous breakdown. Well, every time I got it, my mom said I had mono. And I think a couple of times I actually did, but I don't really know. I just have these complete
The
breakdowns.
kissing disease.
That's right. I wish I was so lucky that that's why. If I was just smooching her up, woo woo. Um,
You were
what a way to
smooching her
go.
up.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to have
Yeah.
a kissing disease? But yeah, so I just, I dealt with stuff like that. And then throughout the years, like you said, you kind of you figure out your path, right? So whether it's writing songs or doing yoga or paddleboarding,
Yeah.
writing
I'm
books,
hyper
finding my
focused.
way
I'll get
back.
on something for months at a time, like and just like I'll get a new hobby and I'll just go bananas doing it, right?
Yeah.
I remember for a while there, I wanted to be like in the memory Olympics. That was the stupidest thing ever. But
You
to
wanted
this
to be
day,
what?
to
Sorry.
this day, I can still recite, I think,
Oh,
pi
memory.
50 digits. I created memory palaces and all sorts of stuff. But yet I still use an iPad to read my own lyrics to my own songs because I don't know what they are. Yeah. This is life.
I can remember the songs of Radar Love or something from back in the 70s when I was a
Yeah.
teenager. I kind of like but it's true. But all of this, there's a way to find our kind of, finding our way out of it. Getting really focused on something is because I'm gonna get really focused on something anyways, right? That's my third book in my collection of kids is called My Imagination Boots. And it is exactly what we're talking about. Imagination Boots is basically in a fun rhymey way that you would say to a 4-year-old, like you wouldn't put boots on and let your boots just take you out into traffic or off a cliff, or you wouldn't let your boots take you anywhere they want to.
I want a pair of imagination boots.
You tell
That's an
your
awesome
boots where
concept.
you're gonna take them. And imagination is the same. Our imagination can, we can write songs, we can paint paintings, we can
Yeah.
pretend and be everything, or imaginations can take us to scary
Art
places.
places. Yeah.
So we tell our imagination, and that's what all of them are about, is because, of course, a person who is, when it's like you, right? When you've dealt with some shit and you've dealt with some stuff and you
Yeah.
know what it's like to be, um,
It's amazing how many voices you can have the battles you can have in your mind that just you really almost have no control over anymore
yeah, yeah,
because they're learned, right?
yeah.
And they just stick around and they don't go away and they're haunting you. But I mean, I learned that you can't get angry at those voices. You have to you have to have conversations with them and let them go and say, you were here for a purpose. I don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
You can go. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you for what you did. You took me through some really, really dark times.
Yeah.
And there's been, I used to think like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? But then I kind of looked at some of my life experiences and I started to think like, nah, I think more I should have like some kind of a frickin' superhero cape or something. I'm not weak. I've made it through some really crappy stuff. So, but like you're saying,
Now you have depth.
yeah, yeah, I had to figure some stuff out. When things go really wacky in my head, if it starts to get a little bit busy, I have my little thing that I go through, and gratitude is my biggest one. And sometimes if I'm like in the middle of a lot of anxiety, I've done grounding, I've done things, and I'm still the busyness in my mind, I do my gratitude list, and sometimes it is as simple as okay, so I'm grateful for my hair. I wouldn't want to be bald. I'm grateful for my eyes. I can see with my eyes. I'm grateful for my nose. I can smell and I can breathe. I'm grateful for my mouth. And then I do like I still have my own teeth, my tongue. I
Yeah.
can taste with it. I can like I literally, I'm grateful for my ears. I'm grateful. And I go down that list. That's my when I'm real if I start to spin, if I'm really dealing with anxiety, and I know that the only way out of that, because anxiety is me imagining everything that could be wrong, whether it's real or not. And so
Yeah.
the more I come back into my own body, my own space, the reality of it, and go through my list. And, studies show that gratitude lowers cortisol levels, it increases serotonin and dopamine.
100%. And you cannot be angry when you're practicing gratitude.
You can't, right? So, and sometimes it seems like, maybe it's not a grand and glorious thing like, oh, I'm so grateful for the world and blah, blah, blah. No, man, I am just like, damn glad I'm not bald.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can see. And then no, you're not going to get scared about maybe one day you'll be blind. You're just going to keep going because anybody with that, I call them terror attacks. By the way, I don't call them anxiety attacks. That is a far too pale a word to describe what happens, right? So when I'm in terror, I can't like literally anything can happen. If I'm traveling, I can, oh no, what if, yikes, what if this happens? I just go through the list, baby. I'm going through the list. We're doing this thing right now. And yeah. Uh,
No, I hear all of that, man. That's I once had a panic attack that lasted about 2 hours, and the only way I could get rid of it, and I practiced everything that I did the breathing. The other thing I do is, which is the exact opposite of the gratitude thing, so I should probably practice the gratitude thing, is I decide to surrender to everything.
oh, that's
Like I surrendered everything. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Just let it happen. Think of the worst case scenario that could happen to you right now. Accept it, and usually things quell. But this particular time it didn't, and the only way I could do it, after I was exhausted, my neck was getting stiff. It felt like it was going to break. It was so stiff from being tense.
wow. Yeah.
And, eventually, I just decided to record myself, and it eventually dissipated slowly. And I still have that recording somewhere on my phone. I don't know if I ever want to look at it again, but
Were you recording were you speaking?
yeah, I was talking to the phone saying, this is happening right now. I'm kind of like, I don't want to call the ambulance again because I've done this before and it's kind of embarrassing. And I was just, I was at the winery. Nobody's there, right? There's 60 acres of nothing. It's pitch dark outside. I had to get outside and anything. But one of the things that really triggers it is devices, iPads, iPhones, the light, the flickering light. Yeah, it's really bad. So if anybody out there is having anxiety issues, that's one of the things that can really set it off. So, careful with your screen time, right?
Wow, that's very good and useful information, right?
Yeah. If you're having some vulnerabilities, you feel it coming on, get away from those phones and go outside and get some fresh air, take a cold shower,
I think the stuff that
don't smoke pot. Well, unless it works for you, not for me.
Yeah, no, I can't. I wish, oh man, I see people that like I can't, I haven't smoked pot for like decades and decades and I like I can't and I look at people that look so relaxed and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I almost get sucked into it. Maybe I would be
Imagine that in
okay if
Vietnam. You're like, hey man, we're going into a war zone. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome. Fuck no.
it's like acid for me though, like and it's like bad acid. Like it's not that
Yeah.
fun kind of acid that you hear so much about. It's like a really
Oh
bad
man,
trip of acid.
and I've had those too, right? I've gone to the hospital on accident. Yeah, I've had
I
some. We're '80s kids, right? We know all about that shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can remember I say, okay, so here's the deal. My mom was an RN, but she worked her last 18 or 17 or 18 years in nursing, in mental health. So she worked at Riverview Hospital. And so when I was about 13 or 14, true story, when I was about 13 or 14, my mom was working at Crease, which was an acute ward, and most of the people there, many of the people were young people who had OD'd and on a psychedelic that had messed them up. This would have been in the early
Oh
70s.
yeah,
I'm about 10 years older than you, right? So I'm
yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah. So I'm 65. You're 56.
yeah.
So you and Dave are born the same year. So that's
We,
yeah,
yeah, we were born in the same month. Actually, Dave was born on the 10th, right?
sixth.
6th of October.
No, September.
Oh, I almost thought Dave was born on the October 10th.
No, maybe his dad is. His dad might have been. Somebody's October 10th in his family, I think, but I can't remember who. But anyway,
Okay.
so for me, it was like I'm 65, so I was, this was in the early 70s when and my mom was working at the hospital there, but my mom was an amazing woman. Anyway, she took me to the hospital and she got permission to do this and wandered around with her patients and they all told me why they were there. OD'd on acid, OD'd on this, OD'd on that. They were all totally messed up, right? And they were trying to sort that all out. So I experimented a bit with psychedelics, but not very much because I was also always so terrified. I did not want to end up.
You knew, but you had experiences with people
Yeah.
that have had bad things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to end up in Riverview Hospital, man. I
No,
was like,
but you still tried it anyways.
oh yeah, I still did. But it stopped me from doing certain things. When Coke became a really big, popular thing, I never tried it. I've never tried Coke, so I'm like, it's the one thing I can say. But I never did that. But yeah, I did mescaline and acid and MDA and stuff like that when I was younger. Not very much. So like I tried each of those one or two times, right? And had well, I'll tell you what, my last time I ever did a chemical was I had a very, very bad experience with white blotter. And it took me 6 months. They had to keep me on meds for 6 months. I was at home and stuff, but I kept having flashbacks, went on for
Oh shit!
years. It was awful. It was
Like
awful.
white clinical acid.
It was called white blotter. I don't know what it was.
Okay, yeah,
As a kid, it was on a little piece of paper. And then I found
yeah.
out later that you could get like a whole bunch or a little bit or whatever, right? And I was
You could
like,
buy a sheet. I've actually cut the sheets up before.
yeah. So I tried that. I was probably like 13 or 14 years old.
Oh my God! Holy shit! Wow. I was seven. I was like seven. Well, I smoked pot when I was like 16, I think, or 17. But yeah, I never did anything. I was like, I never did anything bad. But I did a lot of bad stuff. But I didn't do any supplements.
I had older brothers.
17.
That's what I like to say. I had older brothers, and
Yeah.
I was like 11, or I was probably 12. My brother, I won't mention names, set up and he put me in a recliner chair with a speaker on this ear and a speaker on this ear. And then he put Inada de Vida on and gave me a joint and said, here, this is what it's like. And
Oh my
I
God.
was 12 years old and I smoked a joint with Inada de Vida Blair. I think it was like 20 minutes long or something like that.
You know where that song got its name from?
No.
Apparently I've heard this and I don't know. I think it's true, but you might want to fact check it. But they were so stoned in the studio that they were trying to say in the Garden of Eden. But they're like, in the garden of Eden, baby.
Don't you know that I love you? Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Allie,
all.
I gotta go to the bathroom really bad, man.
Okay, well, we can say goodbye.
Yeah, I drank a lot of Gatorade, but I'm trying to hang around because it's so much fun talking to you.
I know.
Now we're talking about drugs and psychedelics. I just want to hang out all day and maybe do something. I don't
Well,
know.
we'll do this again. We'll do this again. We'll say bye for now, and we'll do this again. This is fun. I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
You're
Thanks
like,
so much for your time, and thanks for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege. So,
oh, well, that's really kind of you. I've been enjoying every second of this. So I'm going to quickly say goodbye so that you can your tea stop floating. So thanks to Roland Barrett for hanging out. This is Sally and Find Your Joy. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys. Take care.
Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.